for a different paper usage. So it'd be very, very good for you to maybe acquaint yourself with it tomorrow. I also asked Lauren to be prepared to receive questions from the viewers. So if you have questions, tomorrow will be a phenomenal day. From a practical sense, there's pretty much nothing that Lauren can't answer. Hello, Scott. Hello, Bryn on the Facebook side. Hello, Pauline, Janice, Jeanette, Catherine Taylor, Jacqueline, Jennifer, and Patricia, and Linda from the Zoom side. I'm on the Zoom side. You are able to actually join and ask questions, so feel free to do so. Hello, Anika. So what I thought I would do today is I printed out the, I'm going to turn this down here. I printed out the colors, the watercolors, and I did it by the C-Lab. And I did it by cool, coolest, warm, and warmest. And just to kind of give you some insight, there's roughly 32 cool colors. There's 24 that are in the coolest, 40 that are in the warm, and 115 that are the warmest. These do not include the luminescence because the luminescence really don't read well on the C-Lab because of the extreme amount of brightness they have. So I did this just to, so I'm gonna go over all the cool colors today. We've done lots of different ones. We've done the colors by just off the org chart in row. So we do buff titanium, etc. We've done them by families of colors, which are the quinacridones, the paraleads, the pyrroles. So this time, what I thought I would do is just go and do them by the C-Lab. So we can look at it that way. Just a different way of looking at things. So just real quickly, this is what the graph looks like for C-Lab. And it's just the red, the green, the blue, and the yellow. We're going to be looking at this group right here, the cool. So if you have questions, please let me know. One question that is asked quite a bit is, so John, you can use C-Lab. There's several different variations of C-Lab. You can use the CYN. You can use lots of different ways to look at color. And so as a company, we have to pick a standard, because if you go to any chart where you can convert your C-Lab to other types of methods, you'll see that there's slight variations, and we don't want a variation. So we just stick with one, and that is the C-Lab. So that's what I'm going to be using today. Just so that this was asked probably several months ago, how your eyes perceive colors and how you as an artist perceive colors is not going to be the same as how the machine perceives colors. So when I go over the C-Lab, I'm going over how the photospectrophotometer sees color, not necessarily how you as an artist would see color. Okay, so I'm going to put this back down again. So today we're going to do the cool colors. Hello, Terry. Hello, Jennifer. Okay. So and I'm just going to pick them randomly. I just picked all of the cool colors. So why are they cool? They're cool because they fall in this category right here. Oh, Besnick. I know you're gonna have some of these colors on your palette for sure. And I'll go over which ones I'm using so you can see. Okay. So let's start. So I'm going to use I'm going to use the DaVinci 12. Hello, Michael. So the first one we're going to do is going to be quinacridone pink. Quinacridone pink. So when we say cool or warm or warmest, remember that we're not talking about bright. Bright is a different level between 0 and 99 or between 1 and 100. It doesn't come into this right here. So a color can be bright, but still be cool. This is lavender. Lavender. This is quinacridone magenta. Quinacridone magenta. No. Does the quinacridone pink have a chemical smell from Hannah? Not that I can smell, but I'm around. Put your nose right up into it. Possibly, but very, very light. I mean, it is a synthetic. Some pigments do have can have a smell to them. Kind of also a person that bought a company because how much he loved the smell of the linseed oil during the summer. So it's one of the reasons I fell in love with this company and been here for 33 years and bought it. Okay, this was French ultramarine. So what color do you think this is? I'll tell you, it's a quinacridone. What color do you think that is? Well, hello, Lorraine from Squim. So Squim is Sequim. When I first came here about 37 years ago, I called it Sequim, and people correct me quite quickly. You have names like Nisqually, Purella, Snohomish, quite nice names. Queen Rose, Carol, you are right. This actually, right here, is the Queen Rose. So Carol, perfect. Hannah, yes, it's a red. I'll give that to you too. Okay. Essentially, some of these cobalts are very light, and some of them can be dark. Cobalt, this is cobalt violet. Cobalt violet. This one is really super intense. You have any idea what you think that one is? Well, this one is Indanthrone blue. Indanthrone blue. And this is permanent violet. So if you're just tuning in, what I thought I would do, yes, Brent, that's exactly right, Indanthrone blue. What I thought I would do is show you the colors in terms of cool, coolest, warm, and warmest. Actually, Misha, who's on right now on the Zoom side, had asked about this quite a bit. So it's just another way of looking at colors. And again, how you perceive color is going to be different than the photospectrophotometer is going to see it, which is absolutely fine. Bring this out a little bit. So here we have quinacridone pink. We have lavender, quinacridone magenta. This is French ultramarine. This is quinacridone rose, cobalt violet, indanthrone blue, and this is permanent violet. I think as I do the next set, if there's ones you want me to mix when I do the next set, let me know. And while they're still inside of the palette, I will go ahead and do that. Hello, George. Hello, Misha. I know some of you are joining pretty late at night, so thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's kind of hard to believe it's already almost August. And if you do want to join Zoom, you can actually turn your video off. You don't have to show video. You can put a image. So don't feel like you have to show video if you're on Zoom. You don't have to do that. To me, I'll be watching both sides, so you do whatever one you like. That's been a comment before. You don't have to show video of any type. Okay. There we go. So we'll do cobalt violet, rose of ultramarine. Rose of ultramarine is a very pretty color. Ultramarine. Light violet. Cobalt violet deep. Purple's all violet. Wisteria. Wisteria is such a beautifully smelling flower. Neutral tint. Neutral tint is one of those awesome colors that you can bring down the vibrancy of another color without muddying it up. Really interesting. I think George was showing that. Okay. So this one's going to be cobalt violet. It's kind of interesting how the cobalts kind of run the gamut between being very light or vibrant. Mess that up. Hello, Lisa. Okay. Backwards. This is neutral tint. Neutral tint. Put another color in there. Here, let's do that. So this is rose of ultramarine. Rose of ultramarine. That's rose of ultramarine with neutral tint. So I can bring down the vibrancy of that rose of ultramarine if I want. So it's neutral tint with rose of ultramarine. Wow, Bermuda watch. Okay. This is cobalt violet. Cobalt violet, very light. This was the Mayan. This is a cool color from the C Lab. It's a cool color. This is opera pink. It's certainly a bright color, but remember, bright is a different measurement. So brightness and darkness are different measurements. So opera pink is a cool color. This is going to be carbazole violet. That's more. Such a pretty color. Last one here. This is wisteria. Wisteria. Pink and cobalt violet. So Jennifer asked to mix opera pink and cobalt violet. Wow, this dirty my order out really quickly. cobalt violet. Cobalt violet and opera pink. Cobalt violet and opera pink. Why is it called opera pink? You know, it's called opera pink, at least it's because my chief chemist, Ron, thought it was a fanciful name for this particular color. I made this. I had one of my degrees from UC Davis, and it was in botany. And I was giving a presentation, and it was a lot of botanists were present, as were artists that did florals and things for taxonomy books and systematic books. And they asked me to come up with this. And I was very hesitant to, and they ended up coming out with one fluorescent, which was this right here, opera pink. So it was made by my chemist. Now, show you this too. So opera pink, I think when I went over this quite some time ago, I think my palette has I do this. Opera pink is made up of two pigments. It's made up of quinacridone magenta, and quinacridone magenta is the first pigment, so it actually has more quinacridone magenta, and it also has a fluorescent pigment. So that's a fluorescent pigment and quinacridone magenta. So actually, differing than other fugitives, and it is a fugitive color because the fluorescent is fugitive. When the fluorescent ends up going away, if it ever goes away, it wouldn't be that you'd be seeing a piece of blank paper. You'd end up seeing the quinacridone magenta.
Disculpas a todos que me he retrasado por temas familiares. Bueno, ahora
That sounded really neat, guys. I think I was hearing Angela speak Spanish to somebody. So I thought you might like to know that. It is an unmistakable color. I have hummingbirds at my house, and it seems anything that's bright red, bright pink, they just love bright, and they're all over it. They're like little tiny missiles the way they move so quickly. They love those bright flowers. Okay. Turn this. There we go. Okay. So now let's look at ultramarine violet. Amethyst. imperial purple. Rose madder permanent. Ultramarine red. Right. Right. Permatech. Right. Do my favorite. Ultramarine blue. Oh, that's a good idea. So maybe I'll do that as well, Jennifer. So Jennifer says, I'd love to see a session focus on one color and how it mixes with a range of other colors, starting with opera pink. I like that. That's a really good idea. Okay, this is going to be ultramarine violet. Oh yeah, imperial purple. There's ultramarine violet. And this is that mix, Jennifer, of the opera pink and the cobalt violet. And this is ultramarine violet. Okay. So this is amethyst genuine. Amethyst genuine. There are a lot of colors. This is going to be imperial purple. And that's the neat thing about what I've seen when I did the artist studio sessions. It seemed like almost every artist had the colors drawn out. So this is imperial purple. So they had reference. So there's the imperial purple. Here on my screen, I don't know if you're seeing this, here it is purple on the screen. My screen, in a way, it looks like it's being color corrected to blue, but this is actually quite purple. This is rose madder permanent. So rose madder, which we don't make anymore or use anymore, is a laked pigment. It's made from the rose madder root. And it's hard to get it to the same color each time. Because it's a laked pigment, which means it's a dye put on the back of a metal halide. We no longer use that. Now this is made from high performance pigments and it's 100+ years. And we get continuity of color every single time. Hard to do with something that is ripped. So rose matter permanent. This is probably one of the used colors. I believe George is online and Giovanni used this. It's Moonglow. This is Moonglow. So Moonglows are really, really good granulated color. It's made of 3 pigments. It's made of anthraconoid red, ultramarine, and viridian. Because you have 3 different pigments that have different sizes and different shapes, they go onto the paper differentially because of specific gravity, and you get granulation. The neat thing about it is though those 3 pigments are locked together within this particular color, so you can mix this with other colors, 1, 2, up to 3 probably, definitely 2, and not get any type of mud. So it makes it very, very interesting. So this is a very strong color. I'm going to wet it down. This is indigo. It's just a super. I'm going to put a lot of water into it. Here we go. It's just a super strong pigment. It's a really beautiful pigment. Yeah, I don't have graphite gray with me right now. It's not part of the coolest. But I will make sure I do that one. I do that one next. So this is indigo. This is purprite. So purprite is another Primatech. It has manganese. It's a very interesting mineral. And this is probably one of my favorites. I mean, it's a simple color. It's ultramarine blue. So we've talked about ultramarine blue many times, and ultramarine blue and French ultramarine blue are both pigment blue number 29, PB29. The French ultramarine is a slightly larger particle. So when light hits it, it moves toward the red or the warm. Ultramarine is a slightly smaller particle size. So when light hits that, it moves toward the cool or the green. Just a really, 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 I think, pretty color. So I've been asked before for people that have used, artists that have used ultramarine, they'll get granulation. They'll say, "Well, why does ultramarine granulate so much?" When I hear that, it's usually because the amount of water that's being used. If you use too much water, you can really get the ultramarine to granulate. So using watercolors is really, I think it's a lifetime experience. Because you don't want to use too much water. Simultaneously, you don't want to use too little water. And I think the only way that you understand the difference between those is how we understand almost everything, which is practice. So long as you really enjoy what you're doing, taking the time to practice doing is actually quite a bit of fun. As is finding ways to use something that hasn't been done before, or in a way that hasn't been done before. That's kind of fun. So Misha, which one is it they use the most? Is it the indigo? I know one of them used quite a bit. I think it's the indigo. Okay. All right. So Sujolite. Sujolite. Sujolite is a primitive. Quinacridone purple. Violet. Lilac. And Alvaro's Fresco. Caliente. No. No. Alvaro's Fresco is cool. Caliente would be his warm. His warm wouldn't be part of this list. First one we'll look at is going to be the Sujolite. Sujolite. Oh, okay, so graphite gray. That graphite gray is quite beautiful. I love playing with it. It's like playing with a liquid pencil. This is Sujolite. Sujolite. Sujolite is a mineral, so Primatech. So here. This one's going to be quinacridone purple. These quinacridone purples white out so, or these quinacridones white out so quickly. They go into solution so quickly. Here, I don't know how to show that to you. Here in front of me, it's very purple. On my screen, it looks kind of bluish, but here it's very purple. And that's the really good thing about the 238 dot card, is you can actually see it. This is lunar violet. Lunar violet. So it's going to be a real granulator. See lots of granulation inside of lunar violets.
How do you spell the gray paint you demoed just now?
This right here, this is
No.
lunar
No, the sugilite?
sugilite. Yes,
How do you spell that?
it's Suglite.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Yes, it is very nice.
Well, they're all beautiful.
Thank you.
But I
Barbara,
could see many uses for that.
oh, awesome. So there we go. That is the quinacridone lilac. Yes, thank you for asking the question. Any of you on Zoom, if you want to ask a question, I can actually hear you talk back to me. This is Alvaro's fresco. So Alvaro has two colors. He has caliente, which is the warm, which we're not going to see here. And he has the fresco. That's the fresco. So this is the sugilite. This is the quinacridone lilac. This is the lunar violet. Oh, I am getting it all messed up here. This is the Alvaro. This is the quinacridone lilac. This is the lunar violet. This is the quinacridone purple. This is the sugilite. Yeah, the caliente is actually they're interesting. They're even Alvaro likes the caliente and fresco. We developed those along with Alvaro because so many of the students, as well as Joseph's, would ask him about the grays. And by the time he takes the time in the class to show people how to make it, what colors to mix to get there, they have given up part of their workshop. And time is precious. So we worked with them developing colors that the students could use until they, if they desire to practice to be able to do it themselves. So this is what we did so far. We're at the end. We've done all of the cool. So
John, what was the blue color? The middle blue color, the one they talked about, a very strong pigment I got on late. Was that indigo?
It is indigo.
And it's transparent, right? The one in the middle, I guess.
Yes, that's the indigo.
Okay.
I washed it down. Let's do that.
Does sugilite mix well with other colors? Like if you wanted to tint a shadow and use sugilite, could you add a color to it that would be reflective of like what you're painting?
I'm going to ask one of the artists that's on right now
Okay,
They would answer that question. If not, because I don't mix the colors. I can mix them for you, but I'm not going to know that. But Giovanni or George, they're both on right now, as well as Misha. Can any of you answer that question?
Angela's talking, but she's not muted. She's muted.
So Giovanni, can you answer that question?
Can you repeat the question, please? Because I have a audio.
So can you repeat the question about the sugilite and the mixing?
I think Susan was asking if a sugilite mixes well with other colors. Am I correct, Susan?
yes, I was just saying, if you wanted to paint a shadow with the sugilite and add a touch of the color of the object that's casting the shadow, can you mix that with the sugilite?
Hai capito, Giovanni?
Yeah, sì, ora sì, no, c'avevo un attimo l'audio. C'era, se ho capito bene, Angela, come posso mixare le sugilite, no?
Mischiare il sugilite con un colore che ci sia nell'oggetto o nel muro o qualsiasi cosa e poi sì, questo si rifletterà nell'ombra. Capito?
Sì,
Se tu hai un giallo e lo mischi con sugilite, sì, quest'ombra avrà questo tocco
First of all, it's not a problem to mix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the other hand, it gives a warm gray tone. I'm not using it too much, but it gives a warm gray tone in mixtures.
Okay, which would be perfect for a shadow.
Yes,
I
if you
used
want to
it for
give some
shadow.
warmth and light to the shadow, gives the feeling of transparency, I think it is a very good idea.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you,
You're
George.
welcome.
Thank you, Giovanni.
Have sparkles in sugilite.
It's sugilite is a little sparkle.
Stunning paint.
Thank you both. So this is what we did today. Just want to show you. Bring this up more so we get, see if I can get all in here. Okay. So these are the colors. These are like the cool colors. Again, cool doesn't always transfer into dark or dull. You can have vibrant colors that are still cool. And there we go. That was roughly 32 colors that we did. So with that, I want to thank all of you. Thank you, George. Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for asking your questions. I really like the format of the artists who are on being able to answer questions. Tomorrow, Lauren McCracken will be with me, and he'll be answering questions if you have them. So please go to his website, go to George's website, go to Giovanni's website, Claudia's website, Claudia Diaz Hernandez, Carolyn Devil. Artists, even once they've been on, they'll answer questions for you. Watercolor and watercolors are phenomenal about doing that. So thank you so much for sharing your day with me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to either seeing you maybe tomorrow. If not, I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for spending your time with me. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.